All right, welcome either overachievers or people who are very confused by the notes video. We only got 3 slides we want to get through. It's just more examples. So solving for x using a sign analysis chart. I don't know why I keep reading these instructions in case they're different. X cubed plus 8x squared plus 12x is less than or equal to 0. So first things first, I'm looking for things that are negative or 0. Then I need to factor this. The first thing I realize is from each term, I can take out an x, and I'll be left with x squared plus 8x plus 12. Then this trinomial inside here is factorable. So I have x and x. Numbers that multiply to 12, which is the terrible 12, but I'm saying it again, 12, 12, 12. Numbers that multiply to 12 and add up to 8 would be positive 6 and positive 2. Talking about my zeros then, or my critical values, I get x equals 0, x equals negative 6, and x equals negative 2. So I can go straight to my sign analysis table, organize least to greatest, negative 6, negative 2, 0, make all of my columns, and make my rows. Put in my factors, x plus 6, x plus 2, and then my zeros for each column. All of these are linear increasing, so all of them go from negative to positive. Three negatives gives me a negative. 2 negatives and a positive gives me a positive. 2 negatives and a negative, 2 positives and a negative gives me a negative. 3 positives gives me a positive. What I'm looking for is negative or 0. So here I have negative. Here I have negative. When I write my final answer then, all the way here infinitely to the left at negative infinity up until negative 6. In this case, 0 is included as an answer, so I put a bracket. In union with negative 2 to 0. Brackets around both of those as well, because in these individual columns, I would get 0. 0 times positives or negatives still giving me 0. All right, x cubed minus 7x plus 6 is greater than 0. So I'm looking for something that's positive and not including 0. Now, that is not factorable because this is cubed. So I do rational zeros test, p's and q's, plus or minus 6, 3, 2, and 1. I happen to know that 1 works. And when I'm listing these coefficients, remember that I need a 0 in that placeholder. So I get x squared plus x minus 6. Now, when I look at x squared plus x minus 6, that is factorable. X plus 3, x minus 2. And then keep in mind, I have this critical number, 2, this critical number, negative 3, and this critical number as well. So in my sign analysis table, I go negative 3, positive 1, positive 2. I make all those columns. I make all my rows. I list my factors, x plus 3, which zeros at negative 3, x minus 2, which zeros at 2, and this comes from dividing by x minus 1, which zeros at 1. Once again, all of these are linear increasing, so negative to positive. Going down, 3 negatives gives me a negative. 2 negatives and a positive gives me a positive. 2 positives and a negative gives me a negative. And 3 positives gives me a positive. I'm looking for positives, so right here, negative 3 to 1. In union with 2 to infinity. No brackets because getting 0 is not included as part of my solutions. All right, last type of question then. we're dealing with some greatest common factoring that's a little bit crazy. So looking at this, this is all one term. This is all one term. When we're greatest common factoring, we're trying to take out as much as we can from both of those. So if I'm taking things out from the coefficient, I have 2 and 6. I can take a 2 out of that. Looking at the 2x plus 5s, there are 3 of them here and 2 of them here. So I can take out 2 of the 2x plus 5s. I'm trying to take out as much as I can from both. There's 1 x minus 2 here, and 2 x minus 2's here. So the most I can take out is 1. Then I do these brackets because I'm going to talk about what I'm left over with. I took 2 out of 2. I took 2 of the 2x plus 5s from the 3 that were here. That would leave me with 1 of the 2x plus 5s. And I took the only x minus 2 out of this term. Then I have my plus. And now I look at the second term. I took 2 out of 6, which leaves me with 3. I took both of my 2x plus 5s, so they're gone. And I only took 1 of my x minus 2's, so 1 of them is left. This is all one term. It was being multiplied before, so it's still being multiplied. I'm just going to simplify what I have in here. This is 2x plus 5 plus 3x minus 6, which gives me 5x minus 1. Talking about my zeros then, here there is no 0. 2 is never equal to 0. Here, in case you're not sure, you get 2x plus 5 squared equals 0. You would square root both sides, so 2x plus 5 equals 0. You don't need plus or minus because it's 0. So 2x equals negative 5, so x equals negative 5 halves. Here, x equals 2. Here, x equals positive 1/5. Add the 1 over, divide by 5. So I have 3 critical numbers to be putting into my sign analysis chart. Least to greatest means negative 5 halves, positive 1/5, and 2. Listing out all my factors then, I have 5x minus 1. I have x minus 2. And I have, if we count this as just its own factor, you can include the 2 if you want as well. It doesn't matter. But 2x plus 5, quantity squared. That whole factor is being squared. So I'm just going to scoop this on over now. Putting in my zeros, I have a 0 here at 1/5. I have a 0 here at 2. And I have a 0 here at negative 5 halves. The top 2 of these are linear increasing, so negative to positive. This last one is interesting because you look in here and you're like, linear increasing, but this whole thing is being squared. What this means is this is quadratic. Because this is quadratic, it's a parabola, but it could either be opening up at negative 5 halves or opening down at negative 5 halves. Since the coefficient in front of this is positive, or there's no negative in front of here, I'm going to have a parabola that opens up at negative 5 halves. Again, another way of thinking about that is no matter what I put in for x, I could never get a negative for this problem, this factor. So this will just be pluses all the way, except here at 0. 2 negatives and a positive makes a positive. 2 negatives and a positive makes a positive. 2 positives and a negative makes a negative. 3 positives makes a positive. I'm looking for in this problem negatives, not including 0. So negatives not including 0 is only going to happen here from 1/5 to 2. No other intervals in which this would be negative. Some interesting things could happen if I were to decide to switch this and say if I was looking for positives, because if I'm including 0, I wouldn't have to stop here. If I wasn't including 0, I'd have to stop and start a new interval. But you'll see examples of that happening anyways. All right, thanks for watching. If you have questions, jot them down, get them figured out. Otherwise, we can get started on some of that homework.